through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key, make the big switch. Power to the people, time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold.
Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the Crazy Kryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and we're having a bit of a off-stream hour for this weekend. Something we had done a few weeks back was try to have one on a Saturday so that folks who can't normally ask questions during the week could potentially be able to ask them live during this time slot. So thank you guys so much for joining. And also, well, on account of the crazy weather, the geomagnetic storm, the travel, and everything, I missed a lot of streams this week. So I wanted to say hello to everybody and make certain this thing still worked. How's everybody doing? What's up, Mile High Trish? A happy Easter to everyone. And thank you so much for being here, Trish. What's up, Speed Racer? How are you doing? How are you doing? Please do remember that the content in this podcast is for educational purposes and is not intended to provide any financial or medical advice or legal advice or any type of professional advice of any kind. Please consider everything discussed to be entirely Zester's opinion. Thank you so much, Trish. Hey, howdy there, Belinda. Welcome. Hey, and howdy, Gigi. Yeah, Gigi says, oh, wow, here's where everyone's been hiding. LOL. You found us, Gigi. You found us. Hey, what's up, Ken? Ken's first time here. I'm glad that you could make it, Ken. Having it on the weekend, it does open up opportunities for folks to join that normally can't. And so welcome, Ken. If you have any questions, it's the perfect opportunity to ask them. What I found is usually answering questions seems to be the most helpful thing I can do because most folks in the community end up having similar issues. The questions end up really rounding out people's understanding. And so thank you so much for being here, Ken, and happy to answer if you got anything. What's up, Sam? How are you doing, Sam? Sam says, hey, Zester, it's been a while. Good to see you. Oh, it has been. It has been. I think that the Whiskey and Wisdom, where I was running a generator and a Starlink, trying to be on there was that's been the only stream in a week or so on account of all the different things going on down here. So it's been a little while, but I'm glad to be back, Sam. What's up, Chris? How are you doing? How are you doing? All right, though, as people start to file in and folks start to think of questions, let's go ahead and check out where the market is at the moment. And in all honesty, since the last time we streamed, even though it has been, I believe, like 10 days, even at that point, the market was kind of exactly where it is now. But let's go ahead and look at it. Of course, please keep in mind as I go through some of the news, especially some of the articles that I have today, please keep in mind that they are opinion pieces. And so we're going to check the general prices, and then we're going to go through a few different opinion pieces from market analysts, talking about some of the things we've talked about in the past in regards to all the good news and what's going on in the market and where they see it going. Speed Racer, though. Zester, do you still have a ledger link for purchase? I do. And so actually in the description, there will be a link to a link tree. Zester Crazy Kryptonaut link tree. If you click on it, there will be a little selected option in there for ledger link, which actually I can probably go in here real quick and just actually point it out. And so after you would have clicked on the description, clicked on the link tree link, it would be that one right down there. And that'll get you some free Bitcoin back with your purchase. Saves you money and supports the channel. So always much appreciated if folks are going to get one. Going to get a ledger, definitely save yourself some money. All right. Amy Jo Johnson. Hey, Zester. First time here also. Welcome, Amy Jo. I'm glad to see that, though. I'm glad to see that there are folks who it's their first time. I might need to start doing one more often on the weekends. But Amy Jo, welcome, welcome. And Amy asks, what is the best wallet to buy and best place to buy XRP? I'm a brand new newbie here. Well, Amy, don't worry. You're in good company and we got you. And so when it comes to a hardware wallet, which I would highly recommend that if you're going to go through the process of learning, I recommend you use a hardware wallet as soon as you've invested an amount of money into cryptocurrency that essentially makes the $70, $60 purchase of a hardware wallet make sense. And so, Amy, if you're just now starting, you don't have a bunch of money, and you don't plan on like throwing thousands of dollars into crypto, I would recommend just starting a Coinbase account. Once you've started that Coinbase account, you'll be able to buy your XRP. You'll be able to keep your XRP there. And the only thing I would say is to just keep in mind, as soon as you reach a point where you've invested an amount of dollars into cryptocurrency, into your XRP, that you would not want to risk losing access to, at that point, I would recommend making that hardware investment, a hardware wallet investment from Ledger. You can, of course, use any other hardware wallet out there. I just recommend the Ledger because it's what I use and it's the biggest company out there. And they've never had any issues with their actual devices. And so, Amy, first things first, you would go on to a exchange like Coinbase, which actually we have some videos on the channel that will help you out with how to use Coinbase. And you would actually sign up for an account. They'll guide you through the process. And then you would transfer dollars into Coinbase, and then you'll buy XRP with it. We actually have a video for that, which I will try to actually find that real quick just to make it real easy for you, Amy Jo. Let's see. All right. There we go. Actually, this one right here would be particularly helpful. And so over here on Crazy Cryptonaut YouTube page, you'll see keep your crypto in your own wallet. This is actually a full-length live tutorial where we go through and we actually buy some XRP or some crypto on essentially every exchange that the community uses, Lobster, Uphold, and Coinbase, and then we withdraw it to our Ledger hardware wallet. And so that video would be particularly helpful, Amy, but we also have in the recorded video sections, if you go way on down, you will see some videos which will show you how to use Uphold or Lobster if you chose to use them as your starting exchanges. I would highly recommend going straight to Coinbase and avoiding the pitfalls that Lobster and Uphold often have in store for people. But yes, so first things first there, though, Amy Jo, I would highly recommend just beginning and dipping your toes in. Get an exchange account, buying $10 of crypto, see how it feels, learn a bit more about how to move it. And as you start to get more comfortable, start just knowing that essentially they're your first step plans. Your first plans are get a little bit of dollars in, learn a little bit about it. Keep it on the exchange. If you lose 10 bucks, it's not fun, but it's not the end of the world, hopefully. And then as you start to continue your investing in your learning process in cryptocurrency, I would recommend at that point starting to have that thought about where am I going to store it? Because effectively, when you keep your cryptocurrency on an exchange, it's the same idea as keeping your cryptocurrency or your money in a bank. Now, if the bank is extremely trustworthy and is never going to go anywhere, then you don't have much to worry about keeping your money there. In the crypto space, because it is new, because it is evolving, and we have a lot of companies that have either failed or just now starting up, I think it's a bit safer to usually be a bit more cautious in terms of when you choose to withdraw it. But you can think about it from that perspective, Amy. Essentially, when you're keeping your crypto on an exchange, it's not your crypto. It's the exchange's crypto. You're trusting them to take care of it. So long run, Amy, you'll start to learn more, but it really seems way more scary than it is another thing that's very important to remember as you're starting and going through this process, Amy Jo. But there are a lot of videos. Check out a lot of the recorded videos and a lot of the old streams on Crazy Kryptonaut. I have streams where we go through and we just talk about all the lingo and slang. Videos where we go through and we spend way too much time digging through every single little tab in Coinbase to show everyone what all you can do there. And so, yes, welcome, Amy Jo, and definitely be asking questions today. If you have any that come up, anything that's scaring you about the process. LilyPad says, don't be like me and use an app, then forget your password. I have not found a way to recoup anything that may be left in my account. LilyPad, thank you for sharing that. I'm extremely sorry to hear about it, but this is a very important lesson and story for many folks that are new and getting into cryptocurrency. Please remember that when you are operating in cryptocurrency, there is no one but you when it comes down to it. There is no, I'm going to go call this person and they're going to fix it. It's self-responsibility with your finances. And so that learning curve can be very expensive. And LilyPad, do not worry, you are not in any way alone in that regard. But for folks just getting started, you have the opportunity to learn from a lot of the lessons that some of us folks that have been around for too long had to learn the hard way. And so very important one is that whenever you are creating a cryptocurrency account, a wallet, anything of that nature, these are not passwords that you save into your password manager on your desktop or your phone. These are passwords that you write down, that you put in the gun safe, that you make a second copy of, and you store somewhere else secure. It is. Because LilyPad, the unfortunate thing is that when you do have those password losses, the only thing that can save you is if you recorded your mnemonic seed phrase, say if it's a cryptocurrency wallet. If it's an account with some of these different exchanges, especially decentralized exchanges, well, you may be a particularly named creek without a paddle. And so, yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that one, LilyPad. But I think for Amy Jo and everybody, that's a good one to remember, is that when you're coming down to it, this is a pen and paper game. I may be the one who does everything on the computer, but I store all of my passwords and information non-digitally. Not actually on pen and paper either, but not going to give too much on that one. There's a lot of different ways to keep your passwords and information secure. Just remember, not digitally. Keep them in some kind of hard form. That way, if you store your passwords on your phone, which I highly recommend never doing, and you lose your phone, you're not SOL. You can still go back, look through your little journal, your notebook, and find that information and get it pulled up on another device. Ken, I did my first investments in initial coin offerings in early February. I've enjoyed the process and like the currency reset. I'm looking forward to the flip. Well, Ken, cryptocurrency has definitely got some flips in the future coming. Undoubtedly. And so, no, I'm excited for you, Ken. And you definitely joined in an exciting time in the cryptocurrency world. We are seeing a massive amount of positive news, no matter what the charts may be telling you, no matter how bad it looks like when you look at your portfolio each morning. We are seeing extremely good movements globally on cryptocurrency acceptance, and especially good news on the side of companies and projects like XRP and XLM. We've effectively had the best news that we've ever had since the beginning of this entire process. We've had the best news in the past 3-4 months, pretty much than in all the time combined. So definitely you picked an exciting time. Maddie B texts, Z, is Tangum wallet a good cold wallet to send all Coinbase to? Thank you. Maddie B, Tangum wallet, from everything I've seen and from the folks that I've talked with, their hardware wallet option is pretty good. One thing that I would highly, highly recommend is that Tangum wallet has essentially one hardware wallet that's like a credit card style hardware wallet. Do not walk around with your hardware wallet in your wallet or purse. Remember, a hardware wallet is a safe. It is a bank vault. It is a savings account. A software wallet on your phone that you log into with your fingerprint, or you log into with your kitty cat's birthday as the code. That is your day-to-day wallet. And so please just remember, no matter what hardware wallet you choose, unless you have a very, very specific use case, remember your hardware wallet stays at home. I would just say that because I've seen a lot of different people looking at like the credit card style hardware wallets. I personally do not see the point in those in the modern era, but Tangum wallets seem to be particularly good. Maddie B, I do not have one. I am a dyed-in-the-wool on Ledger, but I've heard very, very good things. And as long as the hardware wallet has an encrypted chip on it, essentially, it's all the only point of failure is going to be if you forget your password, forget your secret phrase, lose your device, or tell people about it. And so, Maddie B, I would not be worried. If you've already got a Tangum, I'd go with it. I would stick with it if I were you. Now, some of the new ledgers are particularly cool, but oh, that is a great, great suggestion, Mile High Trish. Mile High Trish recommends to Amy Jo, Coinbase has learning rewards that are a great way to earn a little crypto while learning. No investment required for most of the lessons. That's great, great advice, Trish. And that's an awesome way to get a little bit of free crypto to play around with. You go on there, you answer a few questions, you learn a little bit about cryptocurrency, you get 10 bucks, and those can be those $10 that you send to another wallet or you send to another exchange that you practice with. Remember, it's the same process to send a penny in crypto as it is to send $1 trillion. And so if you're comfortable and you learn with a small amount of money and you make mistakes, it's okay. And once you have learned and you are comfortable, then you're not going to be afraid when it comes to time to move your $100,000 of XRP over to the bank account or what have you. No, very, very good one to remember there, Mile High Trish. And actually, Amy Jo, I know that during that video just about 3-4 weeks ago, where we talked about moving crypto to your wallets, I think I go to the learning rewards section in Coinbase. There are also some older videos where I go and I show people what it's like to answer some of the questions. But don't worry, they're very easy. Even if you get everything wrong, they still give you the crypto for free. James Nixon got signed up at Coinbase with bank and all, tried buying XRP, but did not move on it. It was $1.70, a little above that, about a week or so ago. Not sure why I could not get it to be successful. James, I'm not certain. I'm not certain. Now, were you going through and trying to place a limit order or a market order? That could be very important in terms of it, because if you were trying to set a limit order, the limit order might still be sitting there and it just never was fulfilled. The price never reached the point that you set it at that you wanted to buy. That's one possibility. But otherwise, James, I'm quite curious. I will have to definitely, I would recommend checking out the videos, James, but I think you've already watched the videos or were there during the days where we did a walkthrough of making a purchase on Coinbase. There should not have been any reason that you would have been stopped from making that purchase, James. Should not have been. And so I don't know if you've got any more info on that one, James. I'd be happy to jump into that one and see if I can't get you a better answer than not certain. All right. Lion Brian, dumb question. No, do not worry, man. There aren't dumb questions. What kind of XRP should we buy on Coinbase? Is there a similar name for it? Lion Brian, that's actually not a dumb question. That's a good question because folks get very, very confused, mainly on Uphold or Lobster on account of this. On Coinbase, if you're on the Coinbase exchange, there is only XRP. And so you are safe in that regard, Lion. On Coinbase, you are just going to type in on token symbols XRP, and you're going to select XRP, and you're good to go. Now, Lion Brian, if you're ever on an exchange like Lobster, what you'll notice is that on Lobster, there are a lot of different versions of XRP. And it becomes very important that you choose the right one, or you're going to be very confused come time to actually withdraw it to, say, an external account, an external wallet. And so, Lion Brian, on Coinbase, you're good to go. But that question is very, very important if you're on Uphold or Lobster. But just remember, you want to make certain that you are swapping between US dollars to XRP. You are swapping between maybe USDT or USDC, the stable coins, to XRP. There are only trading pairs on Coinbase Advanced that actually take you there. So you're safer on Coinbase than you would be on other spots in that regard, Lion. James, whatever it was, as a market order. Well, that's particularly odd then, James. I would go back and actually check, because one thing that would have stayed the same is your portfolio balance, James, would have kept saying you had the same amount of money. And it wouldn't have actually stated anything particular about the move over to XRP until you actually broke down and looked at the assets in your portfolio. And so one possibility, James, is that the purchase did go through. And just from your side and your perspective, it didn't look like anything happened. But if you go and you break down into your portfolio section of your Coinbase account, you may actually see that you do have something else going on. But there's one possibility, James. But otherwise, if you had USD and you were in the proper trading pair, there should have been no risk or no doubt that a market order would have filled. Not certain what it just did right there. All right, though. Kathleen, oh boy, what day? That's actually, let me go and let's make certain that we have this one exact. All right. So let's share screen. It would have been keep your crypto in your own wallet. Tutorial with Zester, streamed 4 weeks ago. As a matter of fact, I can even just Control-C, Control-V, and that right there is the link to information on that isn't starting a wallet, Kathleen. That's using your wallet. The reason that I do not do anything on starting the actual wallet is because I actually went and did something kind of fun over here, and I found the actual videos from Ledger's Backspace. And so I would actually recommend on that one that you try going through with Ledger's tutorial videos first, because the process is pretty simple on getting it set up. The very important thing is that when you are setting it up, Kathleen, is that you understand how important writing down your 24 words or your secret phrase and your PIN code or your password are. Otherwise, the process that Ledger walks you through, it's a step-by-step tutorial. These videos, though, will help in regards to that. And so actually on the Crazy Cryptonaut page, you'll notice in playlists that I created a playlist of videos that are not my videos. The reason is because Ledger is the manufacturer of the hardware device. I let them go for it. All right. Holistic. My son bought some XRP for me. What exactly do I ask my son to do in order to send it to me? As he left it on an exchange, not in a wallet. Is there still some way for it to be transferred to me? All right. Holistic, there absolutely is. And so, in regards to this one, Holistic, all you would actually do is you would send your son an XRP wallet address that you have set up. You could set up an XRP wallet on a hardware device. You could set one up on your computer. It really depends on how much XRP your son bought, Holistic. Remember, the same general thought is what I always recommend to folks, is that when you first start, if you're planning on just dipping your toes in, stay on the exchange. And the reason being is because hardware wallets, which are your long-term storage option, they start at 20, 30, 40, 50, $60. They go all the way up to thousands of dollars. And so I don't think it makes sense for people to buy a hardware wallet that costs them $100 in order to protect their $50 investment in crypto. I recommend that you buy crypto, you build up to a point where you've got maybe a couple $100 and you are starting to get worried about potentially losing access to it. In that case, it's time to make that hardware wallet decision. But Holistic, for right now, if it's a small amount and your son is good with tech, I would just let him hold on to it. Now, if you do want to take ownership of it and you want to start maybe buying more yourself, then that would be when I would recommend looking at, say, a hardware wallet or creating your own wallet on a device. But Holistic, it is no worry. All you will do is you will create a wallet and you will send your public wallet address to him. Remember, your public wallet address is never dangerous for people to have. It's public. Nobody can do anything with it. All they can do is send you money. And so you would copy, paste that to your son, and you'd say, hey, send the XRP right here. And it'll be no hard time for him or for you once you do have a wallet set up. And so Holistic, I'm not certain. I don't want you to share numbers about how much money you have in crypto. That's something I recommend no one in the community ever does, because you put a target on your back if it is a lot. But I would say that's your thought process, Holistic. As soon as it hits an amount where it makes sense for you to have a separate wallet, I would highly recommend pulling that trigger and making it happen. Oh, Kathleen, happy Easter. Happy Easter to you. Indeed. All right. Let's jump in, though, and see a little bit of our news for the day. Of course. Nothing is looking particularly happy over here on the charts. We have got Bitcoin sitting at right below 85,000, Ethereum sitting at 1604, XRP, at least we're back up over $2, but currently sitting at $2.08. Over this past week, while I have been without internet and battling the elements down here, we have seen pretty much genuine stability on the price. We did have a little bit of a run on the 13th. I believe that was on account of some positive news on tariffs, at least from the perspective of crypto investors, positive news. But we are not seeing those $1.60, $1.65, $1.70 XRP prices over the past about week and a half. It doesn't mean we will not go back there. As a matter of fact, that's actually a lot to do with the articles we're going to check out today. All right. Any other oddities going on over here? Any other cryptocurrencies that anyone is curious about that you want me to check while we've got our charts pulled up? We pretty much see that a lot of the old logic is maintaining. Bitcoin Whenever Bitcoin's having issues, the vast majority of altcoins are having issues. We're not seeing too many oddities or outliers here. Pretty much, we've got a universal red going on just about all the altcoins. Just about all, except for Solana and who do we have down here that was actually doing particularly well? Solana and Hyperliquid, which Hyperliquid, yeah, I think that might be a little bit all hype. All right, let's see though. Before we do, let's get to questions, and then we'll jump into our news articles. A joyful voice, can you transfer funds off of DApp to Coinbase? If Coinbase has the same cryptocurrencies and DApp allows withdrawals, you can move from one exchange to another exchange, no issues. All you do is you would actually go on and you would get your deposit address from Coinbase. And so if it's XRP, I'm just using, just throwing out one as an example. You would go and you would choose that you want to deposit XRP on your Coinbase account. That's going to give you a memo address and your wallet address. You will copy your wallet address over on DApp. You will copy the memo over on DApp, and then you will send the XRP directly from there to Coinbase. You don't have to go from exchange to wallet, wallet to exchange. You can go exchange to exchange and then go to a wallet or anything in between. So you should be good to go, a joyful voice. You just need to make certain that if you're transferring XLM or you're transferring Ethereum, make certain you're getting the right receive address on Coinbase and that you're sending from the right wallet on DApp. But otherwise, no, you wouldn't have any issues. Oh, howdy there, Ellen of Petrichor Ranch. Hi, and hugs to you as well. I hope you're having an awesome weekend. Oh, and yes, definitely looking forward to some chocolate. Ah, okay, holistic. There we go. He left it on an exchange. Is there still some way for it to be transferred? You do have a cold wallet yourself. Then holistic, that is perfect. That is perfect. All you need to do is go on to your cold wallet and you need to go to your XRP and you need to find out what your wallet address is. As soon as you have that, just email, text it, whatever it, to your son and say, send the XRP here. All you need to make certain is that you give him the right wallet address and that he makes certain that he copies and pastes that address in. I highly recommend never typing these things. Never attempt to type in a cryptocurrency wallet address unless it is a genuine emergency or the only option. Make certain that you make it easy for him to copy and paste it, and make certain that you copied and pasted, and check the last four, whatever it is. So if it's 4 numbers, 4 letters, or a combination thereof, make certain that you check that the last 4 are copied over properly and that the last 4 are there properly before your son sends it. Otherwise, you're good to go. Holistic, the best way to go about that is to actually log into your hardware wallet, get your XRP wallet address, send it to your son, and tell him to send like 5 XRP. If 5 XRP get through, then he got it right. And now you can go ahead and send the rest. Test transactions, as they're often called, are highly, highly recommended. Whenever you are going through and you're unsure, do not go through if you're not positive and send all of it. Go in, send a fraction of a fraction. Remember, crypto is extremely cheap to send. It is worth it. Send them a 1 XRP, send him 5 XRP, or have him send you, I should say. It'll cost like 0.000001 XRP, so like a fraction of a penny, and then you'll be certain. And so that's the very safe way of making certain to go about it, is get your wallet address, send it to him, have him send a test transaction. If the test transaction shows up on your cold wallet or your hardware wallet, then you're good to go. Have him send the rest. All right, James. Hey, Zester. Happy Easter weekend. Happy Easter weekend to you as well, man. James says, hey, I need help taking my XRP off Coinbase into a wallet. Do you have a video of this? Actually, I do. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, James, you're going to have to do a little bit of scrolling around the video itself. But actually, right here, I did just 4 weeks ago. And so everything on Coinbase should look the same. I withdrew XRP from Coinbase just a matter of 4 weeks ago on the live stream while answering people's questions. And so, James, that one right there, you're going to have to skip around a bit to find the one on Coinbase because I did Lobster, I did Uphold, and I did Coinbase all in one live stream. And so you are going to have to jump around a bit, but you will be good to go there, James, because we moved crypto all over the place and we did it all live. And so you get to hear me be frustrated as we go through the process. You get to hear me complain about how they moved a button somewhere, things of that nature. But I did that on purpose. The idea was to jump in and me have not set up this perfect experience of how to withdraw and move crypto, but to have actually gone through it, had to figure out the problems, had to go find the right section, had to find the right address. And so that's what we did. And so, James, that one should be pretty darn good at getting you your answers on getting your XRP off of Coinbase. Remember, though, James, first things first, if you're getting it off of an exchange, make certain that you have everything set up and you've figured out how to use that wallet that you're sending it to. Especially with XRP and XLM and XTC and any and all of the cryptocurrencies that very often need a memo or address line extra. Make certain that you've already got that wallet set up. You shouldn't have anything to worry about because you're withdrawing from an exchange to your own hardware wallet. But just make certain that you've checked, that you've got it set up right on that side before you go trying to figure out the Coinbase side of it. And James, if it's a ledger and you haven't gotten it set up yet, also on my YouTube channel, come over to playlists. And here is actually the videos directly from Ledger, the company, showing you how to set up your Ledger Nano S Plus for the first time. If it's a different hardware wallet, then I hope it's already set up. I hope it's already set up then. All right, though. Let's jump to some of our news. As Bitcoin and everything continue to remain stagnant, we continue to see purchases, large purchases, coming from traditional finance. UK firm buys $250 million worth of Bitcoin as analysts eye a quiet Easter weekend. Nothing real odd here in all honesty. Abraxas Capital acquired 2,949 Bitcoin worth more than $250 million during the 4 days leading up to the 19th, so leading up to today. In the last 4 days, Abraxas has spent over $250 million purchasing Bitcoin. While we see a very stagnant market and we see retail investors slowing down their purchases, the big dogs aren't. The big dogs are viewing these price points as buying opportunities and are buying all the way down and buying all the way up. And so that's an important thing to remember and to keep in mind as the most of us are sitting on the sidelines waiting to see where the market goes. The guys with big money, they know where, or they believe they know where things are currently going. This is only one of many. And so, including Michael Saylor's MicroStrategies bought $285 million worth of Bitcoin just a few days before at an average price of $82,618. And so, here's the crazy statistic. Large Bitcoin investors, or whales as they are commonly called in the cryptocurrency space, have continued to accumulate throughout the beginning of 2025. They have absorbed over 300% of Bitcoin's yearly issuance as exchanges continue losing coins at a historic pace. Whales, people who are large investors, extremely wealthy individuals, they are buying like crazy. They are stockpiling like crazy. And that is something that is very positive for the long-term price potential of Bitcoin and of the markets, but also indicates that there's a gap in terms of sentiment at the moment. Whales seem to be particularly bullish, whereas the traditional retail investors, you, me, and everybody else, well, the recent market volatility has led to us kind of turtling in. This is an important thing to keep in mind as we move forward and as more and more financial firms start to purchase cryptocurrency, that there's a difference between the mindset of small investors and of large investors. There is a tolerance of risk that they are capable of taking on that we're not. And so this is a trend that is only going to accelerate in the coming months. We're continuing to see statements come out from a variety of different Fortune 500 companies that they intend to start making investments into cryptocurrency. And we're kind of losing the days of where the little guys were really gaining a lot of the wins from the price increases in crypto. A lot of the little guys are starting to sell out. They're cracking us. So stay strong. If you have full conviction in your investment and where it's going, well, then don't let all the naysayers and don't let the market change your opinion. Remember, not financial advice in any form or fashion. James Michael, thank you. LOL, the fastest answer to any question. That's how God works through his people. And no, I need to get a wallet, but you have covered that. Tell Pops and the fam we are grateful to all he is risen. He is risen indeed, James. He is. No, thank you so much, James, for being here, man. And I'm happy that I could get you a quick answer. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's not easy to give a quick one. All right. Oregon targets Coinbase after the SEC drops its federal lawsuit. While winning legal victories at the federal level, the crypto industry still faces regulatory hurdles at the state level in the United States. Yes, it is not over yet. It is not over yet. We are now seeing attorney generals of a variety of different states, Oregon in this case, bringing charges against a variety of different crypto companies on account of what they claim, allegedly, that the companies have sold unregistered securities to residents of their particular state. I would expect this to actually continue for a little while until we do get that federal framework. Because essentially, if the federal government has said, hey, we're not enforcing, we're not regulating, well, now the states have the ability and have the opportunity to step in themselves, and which, of course, they're going to do. I would expect this to continue. I don't think it is of particular worry, but I have a feeling in the coming months, coming year or so, or very much in the coming months, because I think we'll have more regulatory framework in the crypto industry in the United States fairly soon. But until we get that, we're going to see this continue. And undoubtedly, you're going to have a few days over the coming months where the market's going to seem as if something bad happened, and we're going to find out it's because, New York decided to open a lawsuit, or California, or the like. I am not particularly worried on it, but I know there's something that folks in the community are going to be seeing, and so I wanted you to be aware that this is coming. We're going to see more. We'll have to see just how serious some of the state AGs start taking it, but I don't think they have any legal grounds to stand upon. All right. XRP price defies the good news streak. Can it still hit $5? Now, please remember, this is an opinion piece, and it's not my opinion. It's Crispus Nyaga here's opinion. and the editing by Anthony Patrick. So just keep that in mind as we look through it. But we have seen a fair amount of similar stories coming out. And this is something we've talked about. The last time we had a stream, I pointed to it. I said that we've only gotten good news. There is no logical reason from a news standpoint that cryptocurrency and in particular XRP is having any degree of struggles. It's not a matter of the good news. And there doesn't seem to be a correlation between the good news and the current market sentiment. And that is not something that is only our opinion. That is something that is held by far more than just myself, it would seem. The XRP price has remained in a bear market this year, despite the network receiving a series of positive news. Now, Ripple was trading at $2.10 on Saturday, down by 40% from its highest point this year. Its market cap has dropped from $190 billion in January to $121 billion today, currently trading at $2.08. But we've gotten tons of great news. XRP's had numerous bullish news events this year. First, Teucrium recently launched the 2X Long Daily XRP ETF, or XXRP, that has already attracted over $24 million in assets. Second, several companies such as Grayscale, 21 Shares, Wisdom Tree, Canary, and Franklin Templeton have all applied for a spot fund. And most analysts believe that the SEC will approve these ETFs. Third, President Trump mentioned XRP as one of the tokens that will be a part of the U.S. government strategic reserves. Now, such a move would likely dramatically increase demand for the coin. Now, furthermore, the SEC has dropped its appeal of a case it had filed in 2020, thereby ending one of the longest running legal issues in the cryptocurrency industry. The end of this lawsuit will help the company strike deals with American banks and money transfer companies. Ripple hopes that these firms will adopt its technology, which is faster and more cost-effective than the SWIFT banking system. I know everybody in the community is more than knowledgeable about SWIFT and about how excited we are to move away from that antiquated system. And yet, despite all of this, the XRP has ignored the growing market share of Ripple USD. Its stablecoin, whose market cap has jumped to almost $300 million in controlled assets, secured assets. And now, most recently, Ripple acquired Hidden Road, a prime broker that handles over $10 billion in assets every single day. The company hopes to move some of these transactions to the XRP Ledger Network. And it goes on. It goes on. And so despite all of this bullish news, despite XRP essentially getting every green flag on the planet, getting nitrous pumped in to its fuel supply, despite getting everything that you would possibly think could make the price go up, it has not. And cryptocurrency on the whole has not. Effectively, on the election of Donald J. Trump, the markets massively overreacted. And they went ahead and they priced in most all of this good news. Essentially, the markets and the average investor went ahead and put the cart before the horse. We saw Trump win, and we said, all these things are going to happen. Let's go ahead and start buying like maniacs because the price is going to go skyrocketing up. And so I think we're still in a correction period. Essentially, I think we got a little ahead of ourselves. The market got a little ahead of itself. We have only received good news. Only, in all honesty. Now, the tariffs, everything else going on in terms of the world, that does affect cryptocurrency. Should it? We've discussed that one before. It probably shouldn't to the degree that it seems to be. But otherwise, everything in crypto is great. Essentially, we are seeing that no matter how much has changed, the cyclical nature of the cryptocurrency market is being maintained to a degree at this point in time. What do I mean when I say that? Bitcoin and crypto tends to follow a 4-year cycle. And we are on the point and period of that cycle where we should be in a bear market. This cycle has been established ever since the beginning of the first Bitcoin halving. That is, of course, where every about 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that is earned from mining Bitcoin and successfully solving a block in the blockchain is reduced by half. That occurred in 2024. And so it tends to mean that we would be looking at this time period. It matches up pretty well with the market cycle, but the changing landscape and the mainstream nature of crypto and where it's moving means that we really are in uncharted waters. If anyone tells you that they are absolutely positive that they know where things are going because they've been in crypto for the past 10 years, do not trust that person. The past 10 years and what we have learned from the cycle and from studying this market, well, we honestly have diverged from a lot of that long-standing wisdom and that long-standing information. And so we're in uncharted waters. Effectively, at this point in time, the market is extremely stagnant despite all of the good news. When we're going to break out of that stagnation, I believe is going to be a slow process. I don't think we're going to have a catalyzing event, at least one event that just makes it all happen. I think it's going to be the slow crawl of more ETFs. It's going to be more companies accepting cryptocurrency as payment. It's going to be more banks moving over some of their transactions to, say, XRP or to a different blockchain. It's going to be governments adopting the ability for taxpayers to essentially operate in cryptocurrency and also in the, whether it's fiat or the new system at the same time. And hopefully it will be in a large way through the growth of decentralized finance that we'll start to see the markets perk back up. But I would absolutely recommend buckle up, pay attention, and do not go making too many assumptions when it comes to where things are going in the short term, because right now we've broken logic. Logically speaking, XRP should be $4 like now. Logically speaking, Bitcoin should be pretty darn stable. Ethereum has had great news, and yet we see it continuing to struggle to an extreme degree. So just keep that in mind. Logic is not currently in the room with us, or at least the logic of the past is no longer appearing to be valid. In the past, this news would have turned pretty much any market sentiment around. So, all right, Renee Engel, can someone hack your Coinbase account? They absolutely can, Renee. Please remember, whenever you are on a centralized exchange, you are only as safe as that exchange is keeping your account safe. And so if Coinbase is hacked, or say you saved your passwords on your phone or on your computer and you did not enable two-factor authentication, and someone hacks your phone, or you lose that information and someone finds it, someone would be capable of going in and draining your Coinbase account. And so please do remember that. There's a difference between a hardware wallet and a centralized exchange. This cannot be hacked. Your Coinbase account can be hacked. Now, also, just something that everyone should keep in mind is that whenever you hear the term or you imagine hacking, you know, most folks tend to imagine some dude hammering away on a keyboard in a basement, you know, with a bunch of code, and he's, you know, forcing his way into your account. Please remember that modern day and pretty much throughout the history of the term hacking, that most of the time it's social engineering. Remember, you are most likely the most dangerous part of the process, because you get an email from Coinbase. It looks like you got an email from Coinbase. You respond and you give them your login information. Turns out it was not Coinbase. You just got robbed. Many people call that hacking. Really, it's social engineering. So keep that in mind also, Renee, is that most of the time, we end up being the reason that our information gets out there and gets lost. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes the exchange itself gets hacked, in which case it's all their fault. But remember, your money is what got stolen. And so it's all their fault, but it's all your problem. That's why if you have enough crypto, get it off the exchanges, keep it on a hardware wallet. And that way, if somebody hacks Coinbase, does it suck? Well, yeah, it sucks because the market's probably going to have a massively bad day, but your portfolio is safe. Your crypto is secure. You don't have anything to worry about on that front. All right, though, guys, I think with all of that and looking at how long we've gone, I'm probably going to go ahead and start saying some goodbyes unless we see a final question come in out of nowhere. But thank you guys so much for joining on Saturday. I hope that being able to come out and have a different time that some folks could be here live for is helpful. I know also from going through and seeing some of the questions today, I have some good ideas on what some of our next streams are going to focus on. In particular, going through and messing around with some of these exchanges. It seems like we do need to go through and have that be a little bit more of a regular occurrence. And so I'm going to think through the best way to go about that. All right. Ken, many say using your phone only is safer. Computers open potential doors to hackers. Ken, I would, okay, it depends. It depends. And it definitely does. Ken, your phone has become the #1 outlet in which your information is being lost. And so from a statistical standpoint, your phone is the most dangerous. One thing that I would just highly recommend on both sides of that one is just not keeping your passwords and things saved on your mobile device or on your computer. I would just not keep it saved on either, Ken. I'd protect it on both ends. Your computer, depending upon how you use it and how often you use it, Ken, it is going to end up being safer because if you're not a regular user of your computer, you walk around with your phone every day. Your phone goes everywhere. Your phone connects to unsecured Wi-Fi signals in Starbucks. Your phone connects to all kinds of random different things. And you always have the chance, a far more likely chance, that you'll misplace your phone than you will your computer that's sitting in your house. And so, Ken, I do think that if someone is just much better with a phone than they are a computer, then most likely they'll be much better at following the security protocols on their phone that are necessary. And so I do think that for some people, Ken, their phone might be safer. I would state, though, that I think from a day-to-day usage perspective, that your computer is just not out there as much. But no, that's an interesting one to think about, Ken. And I'll have to think more on it. I know from a hacking standpoint, our phones have become just as easy in terms of malware and things of that nature. If you open a bad email on your phone and it had malware inside of it, you're going to be encountering the same issue as if you had opened that email on, say, your computer. So yeah, I'm not positive there, Ken. I personally always recommend that people do not use their phones unless that's their only option, just because you walk around with it every day. And at some point in time, you may lose it and you may not have those passcodes and that information saved somewhere else to be able to log into it. So yeah, I can see both sides of that one, Ken. Gary Green, with logic out the window, just wait or take a loss. Gary, I haven't sold anything since the market turned downwards, but of course, that's not financial advice at all. I take a very long-term perspective on my crypto investments. I have never really taken much in terms of profits. All I do is I buy more when I enjoy it. I try to buy more specifically during the bear markets, and then I hold. I stockpile. Everybody has a different objective and a different goal, though, Gary. Everybody does. Everybody has a different timeline. Everybody has a different pain threshold. I bought all of my XRP under 50 cents. And so while I sit at $2.08, I don't really view it as being all that painful. Depending upon where your threshold is, where you bought into the market, that could definitely change where that pressure point is, Gary. If you bought at $2.50, I bet you're not a happy camper right now. And there are tons of people that are in that exact situation. But Gary, I think it really comes down to you taking a look at where you personally have your goals set. If you are planning on holding your XRP for the next 10 years, sit back, buy more, turn off your phone, don't look at your portfolio, don't bother. If you're trying to be actively trading and you do think that the market's going to continue to go down and you do believe that you can buy in at a lower price point, that's a risky business. But I would say, you know, I wish you the best of luck. I would recommend, or I would say from my experience, that whenever I have tried to play the market in that fashion, my success rate is usually about 50-50. And if your success rate is about 50-50, then in the long run, I'm breaking even. And so I put a lot of effort into it, and I've only had a handful of real big wins on it, and I've had a handful of losses on it. So Gary, that one's a dangerous game. Crypto could start to skyrocket literally right now. It could begin in 30 seconds. It could just absolutely go through the roof. Or it could plummet. XRP could be $1 in 24 hours, or it could be $4 in 24 hours. And so, Gary, the trend does seem to be continuing to go down. And so I can see where you would say, hey, I'm willing to maybe risk it for the biscuit, get some extra free XRP out of this trade. But I cannot personally advise that one in any form or fashion. Folks often say that what you're trying to do essentially is catch a falling dagger, catch a falling knife. And so you're planning on selling, and then you're going to try to buy in at just the right point in time in order to secure that gain. When it works, it's awesome. When it doesn't work, you end up with a knife in your hand. All right. D Rambo just arrived. One question: can your Ledger hardware wallet hold stock market assets like it does for crypto? D Rambo, it cannot right now, but I have got a sneaking suspicion that in the coming years, D Rambo, you're going to be storing your stock assets on a hardware wallet, or that you will have the option to store mirrored stock assets on a hardware wallet, because mirrored stock assets already exist. And so right now it's a no, but D Rambo, we are, I mean, sprinting towards the day where you will be able to do just that. All right. All right. Patriot Grandma, just on lunch break, can you give me your opinion on Tangent Wallet for XRP, XLM, and RLUSD? Tangent Wallet seems to be a very, very popular wallet with a lot of folks. So Patriot Grandma, I've done a bunch of research on Tangent. They look to be a great wallet service. I just have never personally used one. I have like 7 ledgers. And so I just don't have a Tangum wallet to have personally used it. Everything from what I saw seemed to be particularly good, especially for XRP holders. But I cannot say that it is the perfect one or not. What I would say, Patriot Grandma, is that if your crypto is on a hardware wallet, it's darn sure safer than if it's not. And so if you have a Tangum and that's what you got right now, I think that's a good thing. Just remember to follow the rules. Keep your secret phrase stored, safe, somewhere in a hard format, written somewhere, carve it into a plank of wood, whatever you got to do. Keep your secret phrase safe. Same thing with your passcode. And then also, Patriot Grandma, don't go out and about with your Tangum wallet. Same rules that you would follow with essentially anything else or any other hardware wallet. So if you already have one, Patriot Grandma, I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard a lot of good things. Phil Breathauer, do you use TradingView? I do use TradingView, Phil, especially whenever I have been going through and doing technical analysis. TradingView is honestly the best platform out there that's just simple to use for something of that perspective. Also, TradingView has a lot of crypto investors that you can follow along with. I don't show it or use it in terms of the show, Phil, because I tend to avoid technical analysis in terms of anything that we do on the program. I had always said, kind of since starting from the beginning, my thought process was that we would start with the basics, we would start with fundamental value, and then we would start working our way towards the point where we would start diving into some of those far more complicated topics. And so, yes, Phil, I do. I actually, from all of the different software programs I've used, TradingView is my favorite. And we will, at some point in time, Phil, we'll be covering and we'll be using TradingView on the channel. But it is a more advanced level. And while many folks out there will claim and will preach to the high heavens about how technical analysis is a scientific endeavor, to me, it's more like astrology. It's more like astrology to me, but it does work sometimes, and it is a lot of fun. So, Phil, TradingView is a great platform. I do use it. I particularly used to use it when I day traded. I spent far too much time on TradingView. But all right, guys, with all of that and looking at the time, we've hit it over an hour and 7 minutes, heading towards an hour and 10. I'm going to go ahead and wish everyone an absolutely blessed holiday weekend. Remember to spend time with the family, enjoy some good food, and to celebrate all that has been sacrificed for us to be here today. Thank you, guys. Love you all. I will see you again on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, same channel. And we'll see what kind of new news we have to go through. For those that do have a hard time joining during the week, I would really like to kind of see in terms of comments and such. For those that are here and you're not able to make it during the week, I'd love to start getting an idea of maybe one good time during the weekend where we could start doing a show like this. And maybe we take one away from during the week and we move one to the weekend. I'd be very interested to see just how many people out there are in that same boat where you just haven't been able to come and ask the questions because, well, at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you've got stuff to do, which I totally understand. So please do. Anybody out there, leave something in the comments. I want to start trying to get an idea of what might be a good time and just how many folks it might be able to help out. So thank you guys all once again, and I will see you on Monday. Peace, y'all.